talk to you about what I believe are the 3 things that you must have to be a better singer and a better creative in general. It's got nothing to do with any singing techniques, because what I realized recently from talking to my students, that sometimes it's the basics that I forget as a professional singer that need to be met first before you can even apply the techniques or apply any of the resources and tools that we utilize together. So number 1 is time. If you're unable to find time or make time to practice, you aren't going to be able to move forward as a singer. So one of the resources that I offer to my clients is a vocal journal. I have to say that 90% of my students don't complete their vocal journal religiously, and I do, let them off a little bit, but I'm going to start pushing them a little bit more, because what we need to be able to do is to use the journal as a tool to plan, to figure out when we're going to be practicing, what we're going to be practicing, and how we're going to be practicing. So setting that up in advance is essentially creating the time and the space to be able to practice and effectively move forward. The other thing that I come up against quite a bit is that they don't have time to commit. Now, I'm not asking you or anyone that wants to have a career in music on a basic level. So you want to do some gigs, you want to put some videos up on YouTube, you want to maybe do some busking or do some performances at an open mic night, or maybe just have a once a week gig. I'm not asking you to commit 3 hours a day to crafting or practicing your singing, but you are going to need to put a little bit of work into bettering your voice so that you can have vocal stamina. You are doing it in the healthiest way possible if you're learning techniques and applying them, or you're just increasing your performance chops. And the best way to do that is just by singing. What happens if you feel you don't have enough time? Now, a lot of my students not only study full-time, they might have jobs as well. I ask them to do 2 things. I ask them to make a stop, start, doing list. So for one day, I get them to write down everything that they are doing in their day to the minute. So if you are visiting me and telling me that you don't have enough time to practice, I need to see what it is that you're doing in your day and try to find or create more time opportunities. One of the things that absolutely hands down, and I am guilty of this as well, that comes up with everybody is that social media is taking up a lot of our time. Watching Netflix is taking up a lot of our time, and that's okay. I'm not saying don't watch Netflix or don't check out social media. What I am saying is that if you feel that you don't have enough time to practice, what I need you to do is to pull back that time on social media or track it and see how much time you are actually spending. Now, the latest iOS system has a screen time guard, if you will. So it limits the amount of time, and you can set how much time you want to go on social media in your phone. And I'm sure Android phones will have similar apps as well. But the Apple one is called Screen Time. And I often get notifications up after 15 minutes that say, you've used up your time allocation. And I think, oh my gosh, that felt like a heartbeat, and that was 15 minutes. We all know we go down that black hole with social media. One thing leads to the other when you're watching a YouTube clip. These are the moments that you could be using to practice. So if you were to pull out some of that social media time and commit to an hour of practice a day, you would see the most amazing improvements. Now, the other tool that I give them is called an Eisenhower Matrix, and it basically gives you a tool to learn how to prioritize what you are actually doing. So you need to figure out if the job that you're doing or the tasks that you have to do need to be done by you, and if they're moving you forward towards whatever your goal is. So if your goal is to become a professional singer and you want to be gigging 360 days in the year, then your number 1 priority tasks that only you can do is your singing practice. So you figure out what it is that you can only do that's unique to you. You focus on that. So if you're studying and the degree is your end goal, obviously only you can study. You shouldn't be, and you can't outsource the studying to anybody else. But anything that is within your tasks that you can outsource, you need to outsource it. If typing up an essay is something that your mum can do for you once you've already written it out, or someone can proofread it for you, that's a way of outsourcing when you're studying. So you get the gist of things, and there are 4 quadrants within these sort of priority zones, and they help you to figure out what tasks to do first, where you're wasting time, or where you can automate or delegate. So I highly recommend using those 2 tools as a way of creating, managing, and utilizing your time better. The next thing that we really need to be sure we have a lot of is energy. Now I kind of call this like inclination as well too. So it's not just physical energy like, yeah, I'm running up and down stairs and I'm jumping up and down. It's actually inclination. So motivation, thinking about what it is that you're working towards and making sure that you know all the steps and the processes that need to be done to be able to get where you need to be. Now I'm reading a book at the moment called Atomic Habits. It is amazing and I highly recommend it. Now that one's by James Clear, and another book called Crushing It by Gary Vee, who I'm a huge fan of. 2 different sides of the coin, but both with a very similar message that you need to know what it is that you're working towards to be able to achieve it. But not only do you need to know what, you need to know why, and that is the most important thing. There is a Simon Sinek TED Talk called Start With Why that I highly recommend that you watch to figure out why you want to be a professional singer. That can be the inclination to not watch Netflix endlessly, to binge, to not go onto YouTube for hours and hours, to not go down into that black rabbit hole of social media, because you know why you're wanting to be practicing is because you want to be the best pop singer, the best R&B singer, the best pop rock, whatever singer that has ever lived. I love the idea that to be the 1%, the best singer or artist or creative in the world, you need to do the 1% work, and that's not the least amount of work. That's the work that no one else would do because it's so hard. Now, I've been asked once, I gave a lecture at Auckland University, and I was spouting all of this, all of my ideas around what it takes to develop yourself as an artist. And one of the students put their hand up and they said to me, well, why haven't you done it? You have all the knowledge about how to make it as an artist. Why haven't you done it? And I kind of stopped and I thought, And I realized in that moment, it's too much like hard work. Beyonce, for example, started crafting when she was 8. She missed out on going to parties. She wasn't even allowed to go swimming sometimes because it affected her sinuses and she sounded a bit, kind of clogged up, blocked up. And her dad knew that she had some important auditions coming up. And when she did go swimming, when she wasn't meant to, she blew that audition because she made a choice of, essentially being young and living life and living like the 99% are. I'm not saying that that isn't something that you should do, but you need to understand that if you want to be and live in that 1% life and being a epic artist like Beyonce, you need to do the 1% of the work, and that's the hardest work. That's saying no to parties. That's not watching Netflix. That's basically focusing all your spare time and energy into your crafting. So get motivated as to the why, and that will create the energy. Now, of course, creating energy is also done by looking after yourself, so making sure that the fundamentals for a singer are the right amount of sleep and, of course, hydration. So for me, if you don't do anything other than those 2 things, you're doing all right. That's going to build your energy and enable you to do all the other things that make you a good singer. The third thing that you must have to be a better singer are resources. Now that can be a couple of things. The number one resource that tends to make the world go around is money. Now if you're wanting to educate or work with a coach, obviously there is an investment that's involved in that. So whether it's in person or online or you're buying a book, no matter how you choose to study, you will probably need to have some kind of monetary investment in it. You could go to the library and get some books if you don't have any money, or if you need to find money, sell some stuff. Go into your cupboard and see things that you haven't worn in a while, books, toys, and that I'm talking to everybody here. Books, toys, anything that you think you maybe could move on and allow somebody else to cherish and honor, and you don't need them anymore. You can on sell that, you can pull your money, and then you can buy a coaching program or have a coaching session. But then, as I mentioned, there are resources out there that are free. You know, there are a ton of blogs on the Big Notes Get Votes site. You can find information if you want. What you usually pay for is less time spent and expertise all wrapped up in one, so that it's really easily digestible. So if you don't have a lot of time, that can be sometimes the way to go. So to recap, the 3 things that you need to have: you've got to have some time, you've got to make that time, you got to create that energy as well, and you need resources, you need support, and that can be money, that can be coaching, whatever that looks like to you to really be able to be a great singer. Those are the 3 things that you need. Let me know which of those 3 areas you feel that you need the most help with, or if you have all 3 on lock.